Why, hello, everybody. Welcome back to what is quickly becoming the regular
The Sunday Night Live show.
Sunday night live stream. It's these last few weeks have been less themed and more
freeform.
More freeform, and that's been good. I think it's been a nice, refreshing breather, as it were. And I do say
deep dive
do say breather because we are now on the precipice of
Fandor.
Yeah,
calm
Fandor,
before the revolution.
Exactly. We landed on Fandor because you know what? These Star Wars titles apparently write themselves.
Do they ever?
Keeping in the spirit with our other review series. So this one, Fandor. It's coming up this week. And man.
Got our first comment.
First
already.
comment. Here it comes. Glenn says 432 new Star Wars shows.
Let's do it. Not enough. Not enough.
Bring it on.
We are going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through tonight's show. However, keeping in the tradition of the last couple of weeks, we're going to open the show with light unpacking of the latest episode of She-Hulk. And then I'm going to run us through a few Star Wars news items because I thought what a way to get prepared and get primed up for Andor's premiere this week than to take a look at some
lot of stuff
relatively new Star Wars news to help generate some excitement. And some of there's some fun stuff in there. So
lots going on.
Without any further ado, man, unless you guys got anything else you want to throw out there, we can get right into it.
No, I think we should be good.
Excellent.
I think that's what Hank said.
Like, wait a minute, that's not us, is it?
That may be me. Gigantic city I live in.
It's all good. This week's title card has changed up just a little bit. It's She-Hulk by Titania.
I will say that these title cards, they've been slightly different a few times.
A couple of times when it's relevant.
And I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed that aspect of it. So this one, it was very tongue-in-cheek and it made me smile.
Yeah. So we kick off the episode and Jen is getting bombarded by Titania's She-Hulk by Titania ad campaign. It's on billboards. It's on TV. It is everywhere she looks.
Can I just throw out one thing before we get too far into the plot?
Yeah.
How many episodes are we in right now? 5?
This is 5.
Okay, so of the 5 episodes, this one, more than any other, feels like filler.
You think so?
For me, it does. It feels this. If I had, and I don't necessarily like using that term because it all serves the story to some degree.
Yeah.
But if I had to put that label on one of them, it's this one.
I don't know. I've kind of lost the plot. If this was the first episode, I probably wouldn't watch the second one.
Really?
I'm just wondering. Anyways, let's do it because let's do it.
We don't want to talk you out of it before it's over.
No. You might.
It's still delivering on the fact that they call it a lawyer show, right?
You might.
That's true,
100%. It's not. It's
a
isn't
courtroom comedy.
It's not
action.
It's totally what it's advertised to be. Totally, 100%.
Yeah,
courtroom procedural. Yeah.
Courtroom superhero.
Sure. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. We switch over after she's been to work and seen the billboards on the highway, and he just barges right in the door with 2 crates of merchandise, and he's like, "Sign these. These are going like crazy." And she's got to slow him down, like, "No, I'm not doing that. Those aren't me." And then he tries to mansplain. Well, Jen, copyright works like this.
I think it's funny that her brother is trying to talk to her, a lawyer, about intellectual property law.
Yeah, it just comes back to Bruce saying, the third genius in the family.
Right.
And she's screaming into pillows and not enjoying it at all.
Her position on it, though, is I'm not going to sign it because of the legal situation. Yeah.
So we catch up with Nikki and Jen, and they're going to this pop-up location where Titania will be signing because apparently Nikki follows her on the socials. And
boo on
Jen goes to line up. Nikki's like, no, we're just walking in. Pretend like you're
like
important.
you are supposed to be here or something. Yeah.
So they do. They march right in, and then Nikki starts getting free samples, and she walks up to the table with Titania, and I don't think she recognized her. Because she's like, "Hello, little girl. You have to wait at the back of the line."
There was a certain amount of what's the term I'm looking for? Friction or sarcasm in there that really suggested to me that, oh, she knew exactly who she was
You
talking
think
to.
so?
I do. It was more
A
of
little
a,
bit, yeah.
yeah, I think it was haha, I'm suing you and there's nothing you can do about it
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from behind Jen and Nikki, this fan just bursts through and says, "Can you take my picture?" And Nikki's like, "Don't do it." And Jen's like, "Oh, fine, I'll take one, but that's it."
She's just a good person.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that really speaks to Jen's character.
Yeah. But at the same time, Titania, like the way she's posing is basically cutting this poor fan right out of the photo.
Oh yeah.
So speaks to her character as well.
That it does.
Yeah.
I really like Titania in this because, like, it's not a good actress, etc. But the proximity to Molecule Man, like that, like as her love interest, that tickles me because I'm like, are we gonna, now that we have the character in universe, are we gonna get that?
Being that one step removed, you're right there. Could they? Should they? Would they? Might they?
Yeah, that's well, I mean, probably not in this vehicle, but
sure.
Certainly in the MCU. It's just, I love that periphery stuff. It gets me
Yeah,
closer to all that deep cuts.
Yeah.
Right.
So we catch up later and she's back at work and she's trying to convince herself that she's over it, but she's basically crushing her own stapler.
Her red swing line stapler.
My stapler.
My stapler.
Poor stapler. And then we follow Nikki out and she's looking and she's like, "Why is it all so expensive?" But then Pug, he comes in and he's like, "I need a favor." And she's like, "You know the price, favor plus interest." And he's like, "All right, well, I need you to come stand in line with me to get the new Iron Man 3s. And she's like, "Why do you need 2 pair?" He's like, "One to stock, one to rock."
What's the what do they call the shoe guys? The shoe collectors?
I don't know.
There's like a shoe collector.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a terminology that's used to define a person who collects shoes. I can't. Anybody out there who knows the word for shoe collector, let us know in the comments because I am blanking on it.
I have a joke I can't say on the air. It involves the word peditate.
But we cut back to She-Hulk and she's still staring at it, still trying to convince herself that she's over it, but she's not. But we follow Pug and Nikki because she calls in the favor immediately because she needs clothes for She-Hulk. So they go into this weird like tea place and there's a QR code on the wall. And this week will take you to She-Hulk Volume 1, number 10, which is a retelling of the origin of Titania.
Is that right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So good little read for people there.
Good eye.
And then he's like, "My boy Alonzo sent me." Like, there's tea here. And he's like,
no word of a lie. I hired a kid this week named Alonzo.
Nice.
Not a word of a lie.
Could you say his name without chuckling every time you said something?
I'm just going to call you Junior.
Glenn Howie has an answer for our shoe collector.
Oh, well.
Nice.
His wife. Listen,
I might get a shoe thrown at me.
I know that my wife is watching right now, and she's probably screaming at her phone, going, "Have you seen my husband's shoes in the closet?" There may or may not be a few
extra pair
that are too big for her, and that I might not wear very often. But I digress.
Yeah. But anyway, he
I
cuts
like
back
shoes.
again.
I can't help it.
He's like, "My boy Alonzo sent me, the drip broker." And he's like, "We're here for the superhero stuff."
Oh my God.
Okay. So
I actually like how this played out.
Yeah. He takes him back and the little Avengers theme cues up and he opens his cabinet and it's all bootleg stuff. So this is in the cartoons. Yeah. Where it pops up the Avengers.
The Avengers.
And Nick calls him on it and she's like, "Oh, you don't like that? I got the Avengers."
I just love how, and look at it. I mean, the colors are just off.
Yeah.
It's so typical. I mean, if you've ever been to a flea market anywhere at any time and you've walked past that booth that's selling the brightly colored, we've talked about this before, Andy, the toys that are like,
they look kind of right, but they're on packaging that's totally wrong.
Exactly. I didn't know that Batman was an Avenger.
That's right.
Since when did he wear black and green?
Yeah. But Nikki, she's Batman. Like, "No, we don't need this stuff. We need somebody that designs the clothes." And he's like, "Do you know where this guy is?" And he's like, "Yeah, but you got to buy something." And she's like, "Fine, I'll buy a t-shirt." And he's like, "And a hat." And she's like, fine, to complete the ensemble. So they do. And they get their info and they go to this weird place. And before they even hit the button, he's like, no. And they're like, but my client's an Avenger. And after some like short back and forth, he's like, fine, 15-minute consultation. That's it.
Listening to this scene in the hallway, and I'm listening to the voice, and I'm thinking, man, this guy sounds familiar. Did you get a vibe off that?
I didn't, but
do we? We're going to get to it.
We're going to get to him. Yes,
I don't know this actor.
But they start dancing, and he comes over the mic again. He's like, "I can still see you," and they're still happy, so they still dance off. Then we go back to the law office again, and Holloway, he's like eating, I don't know, some sort of nut where he's dropping the shell, and it's the sound effect here is kind of off-putting, if you will.
Yeah.
But he's like, why did I see a billboard advertising She-Hulk booty boost smoothies on the way to work today? And she goes on to tell him, no, that's not me, somebody else. Don't worry, I'm going to fix it. And he's like, no, you're not. And she gets sent to Mallory.
Yeah.
And she's like laying it out. You know what? We're not colleagues. You're the client. I'm the lawyer. It's not going to work otherwise.
Yeah, it's the only way that this is going to work.
Yeah.
Which I thought, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And she points out Titanium, like, is this who outmaneuvered you? And she's like, yes. And then she tells her, if we're going to parade you in front of the courts, we need to get you better dressed. And Nikki, who apparently has been listening the whole time, she pops in, already on it.
Yeah.
So we cut to court proceedings, I guess. And Titania is taking selfies already. And as they're admitting stuff into evidence, Titania is like, here, I brought samples. Put this into evidence too. I guess trying to bribe the judge maybe, but
that's totally how it played to me. In fact, this scene was a little bit like, I was kind of sitting there going, I know that it's meant to be comedy and I know it's supposed to be lighter, but why isn't the judge saying something like
shut the hell up, Titania?
like you were on the edge?
Yeah. Yeah, but they figure there's enough evidence to take it further, and Titania looks over and she gives her the old Undertaker across the neck.
Yeah. Because that's appropriate in court.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to kill you.
Right.
But Jen just kind of gives her a shocked look, and we move on. And we get to our 15-minute consultation, and it is what's his name? Griffin Robinson, I think.
Yes, like I said, I don't think I know who this is.
But he's playing Luke Jacobson in the show.
Do we know anything else that this guy's been in?
I do not.
All right.
No. I thought this was a drop ball because I really would have loved to see the Gladiator character from the Daredevil show as the guy building costumes for superheroes.
Yeah.
Or even some random, like, semi-identifiable stuff hanging up on his racks.
Sure.
But I get, based on what he says later, why there wouldn't be.
I almost get like with the glasses and the hoity-toityness. It's almost there's very, very fine underpinnings of Edna Mode.
Yeah,
as in like the Incredibles.
Yeah,
on a very very light.
Yeah. But he looks at her and is like, no, I don't want to do anything for you. But Nikki manages, look, she's the Hulk's cousin. She's going to be an Avenger.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said she was.
Yeah. No, we're working out the details.
Yeah.
Avenger.
Yeah.
Or an Avenger.
But, she's like, I just need a basic suit for lawyering. And he's like, I don't make basic shit. All war tested, whatever you need. And, she finally does like the down to Jen and then back up to Hulk.
Yeah, because he asked her, "What do you need? Like flame resistant or
what kind of superhero
built-in weapons?" Yeah.
I was thinking unstable molecules.
I was thinking the same
Richards
thing. Yeah.
But then he's like, "Order more of the stretch fabric. We'll do it."
So that we know that her purple suit is coming.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hands it to her at the end here. But
it'll be interesting to see how it performs. I mean, we've seen Cap's uniform in various states of disrepair.
Yeah.
I mean, if this guy is tailored to the superheroes, is he working with something else?
Maybe.
Is he? Who knows?
Glenn says, do you have symbiote suits?
Do you have symbiote suits?
Nice,
Well, still no, there's a great question though, because we know that there is a piece of the Tom Hardy
Venom suit.
Venom symbiote in
universe
this,
now.
in the universe somewhere.
It'll show up at some point.
Yeah.
But we go back to the office, and turns out Todd's back, played by John Bass, and he's like, "Hey, I know her," and she's like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing, Todd? Right?" He's like, "Oh, we should go for drinks again." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, sure, great." And then Nikki's like, "Oh my God, you rolled over so fast." But we cut to outside, and they're having lunch, and she finally gets hit with a thought. Because she made the dating profile, this is how she can win her
I'm
case.
telling you, I mean, you could see it a mile away.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the couch, I'm looking at my wife at Kim, and I'm going, her dating profile.
Yep, she used it, as her
that whole having to prove. And the only reason I think about that stuff, it's like I think about how we use our name on the show and the other uses of that name that are out there, and it's like, oh, were we first?
True.
Which is neither here nor there, but in looking up sort of intellectual property law, at least here in Canada, there is sort of this, you've got to prove that you were using it. Not necessarily that you trademarked, but that you were using it. So
yeah. But back in court, they're ready to present this evidence, and Titania, she's just rolling her eyes at the whole thing. And Mallory proceeds to read the dating profile, which is where we get the episode title this week. And it says, "Mean green and straight poured into these jeans."
I kind of like the emphasis that she put on that when she was reading it.
And they go on further, like, "What are you seeking?" And, partner with a sturdy back and a reinforced bed, joking. Ha ha ha. But then we cut to the back bench there.
Yeah, I was going to say
all four of the dates
gallery.
Yeah. So they're all showing up. They proceed to take the stands, and David Otunga's character's first, and then followed by, I can't remember his name.
Right.
But, then Todd's up there, and he's trying to convince them, women can open up to me. And then, we see Jennifer just sinking into her chair, like just from the embarrassment of these people.
Right.
And then apparently the cute doctor, takes the stand and says, we had a great connection. And then Mallory asks her, if it was presented as Jennifer Walters, would you have still dated her? And he's like, no.
At least he's honest.
Yeah. But you can see the tears in her eyes. Like, this is, hitting.
Well, that is the other thing. It's that having that aspect of your life. I know it's essentially a closed courtroom. There's nobody else. I mean, there's that one lady there in the gallery that we don't recognize, but still, having your personal life kind of put on display like that.
Yeah.
That's got to be uncomfortable for anybody.
Yeah. But the judge rules in her favor, and Titania comes over and just basically tells her this isn't over.
Yeah, quite handily, I might add.
Yeah. And as she's making her way out, both David Otunga's character and the doctor guy, they're both like, "Oh, hey, Titania, can I take you out?"
Yeah. And what does she say to him?
Says, "No, but you can buy me things."
Yeah, let's go. You can buy me things.
Yeah. But Jen gives one last glance to the doctor, and he gives one glance to her, and she's like faking a smile.
Yeah.
And outside the courtroom, Mallory tells her, you can do better and you deserve better. So she's like, "Can I buy you a drink? Thanks for this." And off they go. And they're having a good little time until Jen blurts out, "I'm so happy we're friends now."
I like the pause there. The are we, aren't we pause. Yeah.
I think it's like, yes, but no.
I have to say, on some level, there was like this, is the other lawyer, is there like a
friction, maybe?
Not friction.
Or friendly competition?
Well, not even that. Maybe in the sense that they might develop something romantic.
Maybe.
I don't know, if that's consistent with the character's comic portrayal, but I almost got that, like, there's like maybe friction is the right word. That whole, like, we work for the same firm, so we're taking the same kind of jobs.
Maybe she's a little bit apprehensive about her because, like, they picked her just because she's She-Hulk.
Yeah, maybe that whole, like, having to prove yourself kind of thing. Oh, you just walk in here and get a job. Well, I've been busting my butt for however long.
But they continue finishing their drinks, and then Mallory's like, "I thought you were going to get new clothes." And Jen breaks forth, "Well, new clothes, yay!" So we cut back over, and
I'm here to pick up my suit.
Yeah, he hands her one, says, "Here, try this on." And then he hands her another one. "I made this too." And
From no to here,
I
by
made
the
you
way,
extra.
here's an extra thing.
Yeah, but then he goes across. There's a hat box sitting there, and I can't remember the name of the guy who left it out. But he's like, "Oh, no respect for, client confidentiality." And he sets it down, and we get our shot, and it is the new yellow Daredevil helmet.
Very much in line with the red one from the Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice.
New coloration.
Yeah, it does. It looks really nice.
Yeah,
but then we get some good credit art, as it were. We find Ched hawking all that beauty stuff.
Is this the episode where she says, "Oh, she's literally selling snake oil"?
Yeah. As one of them says, "Snake venom lip plumper" or something.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
Then we get this one. I like this one. It's got Holloway actually trying out the Booty Boost smoothies.
You gotta wonder if the credit art is like off-camera stuff that
I would
has
think
happened.
so, because the next one I found really interesting. It's Bug showing off his shoe collection, but that's not so much the thing as it's the shoes already in his collection.
Like the Deadpool shoe,
like the Doctor Strange, the Juggernaut, the Falcon, Hulk, Miss Marvel, the Thing, Cable,
Iron Man ones.
Yeah, and like Deadpool, who shouldn't be there yet.
Sure,
Cyclops, Wolverine, all sorts of people that shouldn't technically be there yet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer.
But that's a good way of establishing their presence in the MCU without having to, oh, by the way, here they are.
Yeah. So they might exist there.
After all that multiverse stuff, we can't really be sure, a la Rick and Morty, what universe we're actually in.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, you got more?
I got a couple more about this one.
While we're here, though, can we just for a second, because that came up, there was a meme that got pushed around this week. I don't know if you saw it. And it was Thor from Love and Thunder talking to or standing there with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's like the person who's sort of watching the movie has the epiphany that if Thor and the Guardians were not on Earth
then
when Strange cast his spell,
did it only
do they still know the identity of Peter Parker?
Maybe. It's a good thought.
That also would apply potentially to Carol Danvers.
And Nick Fury.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting, all of that from a meme. I thought that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a great thought.
Yeah.
But here's another one to, I don't know, maybe blow your mind.
Okay.
About the Iron Man 3s.
Yeah.
If you go to Sport Check, apparently you can get Marvel Iron Man Hardened Volume 3.
Volume 3.
Yeah.
So Iron Man 3s. There you go.
Did we see an Adidas logo in the end credits? I wonder this week if they were sponsoring.
Oh, for sure.
I bet you they are. Product placement like that?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe. But yeah, that was kind of a neat thing to stumble across.
Mind you, they didn't say the name of the shoe manufacturer.
No, it was just Iron Man 3s to drop.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think they're sort of supposed to be like as if Iron Man were Michael Jordan. So
yeah. No, I totally get that.
The Adidas Hardmans or Ironmans are like triathlon shoes, you know what I mean. So it's a coincidence that they're named that. They're dope.
I do like thing to point out in the credits, and we haven't talked about it yet, but Malia Araya is the on-set stand-in for She-Hulk. She is a extreme height actress. She stands in 6'5".
She's 6'5".
Yeah, so she is literally She-Hulk walking around.
So it's not just
not just somebody with a when Taika Waititi had the little thing on his head for Thor.
Oh yeah,
she's actually height.
The cord cut out.
Yeah.
On a frame.
Yeah. So
good for her though.
Yeah.
Nice. Is that her in makeup then?
That is her profile off IMDb and her in makeup, ready for the show.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So that is our episode this week.
Nice.
But before I turn it over to you, I wanted to talk, or at least mention this one week, or last week, I guess. The Batwoman Beyond figure.
Oh, right. We talked about this.
Striking resemblance to Melania Vantrub.
That is uncanny how the likeness there. I actually saw that figure today.
Nice. I thought it was kind of weird.
I've been saying for a little while now that McFarlane needs to stop hand painting their human characters because the results are often
different.
They really are. This one is a hit, I would say.
Yeah.
Intentional or not.
Yeah. You probably know her though from the AT&T Lily commercials.
Yeah.
And she's also on This Is Us.
Okay.
And she also voices the unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's out there.
All right. Well, we're going to stick with toys here for a second. I'm going to come back around to this. Guys, if you're, before we transition over to our Star Wars news segment, we're going to stick with toys here. Hit your EB Games Star Wars Black Series collectors because sorry, that's right, GameStop, because now the EB is
players.
It's
Papa
the same
took
company.
over.
It's the same company. You all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The Obi-Wan wave, they are starting to hit now. So I've just added Reva and Obi-Wan from Kenobi this week. Pretty happy to do that. So that goes in the collection along with the fifth brother that I already picked up.
Nice.
And they tell me that the Grand Inquisitor is coming sometime next month. So
yeah, it's months early. Those are all they were all supposed to be March releases.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was going to be that. It was going to be that far away.
Yeah,
all right.
February.
So, as we open the show, Andor's coming up here, and I do have some Andor news that I want to talk about. But I thought it would be a fun way to get us all ready for the next 10 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah. It's gonna be a marathon.
I thought it would be fun if we took a look at some interesting news items. So all the way from the Fandom Newsnet all the way to you, here comes some Star Wars news that maybe you weren't aware of. Guys, remember we were talking a while ago, if you go back to our first episode of the Weapons of Star Wars, that was our Pew Pew, a blaster story, which we totally misnamed. We should have, after we got in with our naming convention.
Well, we didn't know it was going to go as far as it did.
Well, no. You may recall that we mentioned there was a resin cast blaster. That was one of the DL-44s that Han Solo had used. Sold back in 2013. It sold for about it sold for $200,000.
More than I can afford.
Back in 2013. Well, something special happened earlier this year, whether you were aware of this or not. And it's got a really, really, really amazing story. However, one of the screen-used Mauser pistols from A New Hope was discovered, and it was rebuilt. So the story basically goes like this. This Han Solo blaster just came up with the Rock Island Auction Company, and it sold, I guess it sold, I've got a date here somewhere. Where did I put it? This last surviving DL-44 prop blaster from A New Hope at the Rock Island Company, that they specialize in antique and collector firearms and militaria. This particular blaster was matched by serial number. And as I said, as a really cool story, I've added links. You can actually go to the listing at the Rock Island Auction Company, the description of that in our description for tonight's live stream. You'll find a link there to the listing, as well as the video with the gentleman who's actually holding the pistol. Basically, this blaster was rebuilt to about 80% of screen accuracy using actual parts from Bapti.
Oh, geez.
If you guys remember, Bapti was the company that provided all of the prop firearms for Star Wars back in 76.
Yeah.
The lead armor on the film was a gentleman by the name of Carl Schmid. And they approached Carl Schmidt when they found this weapon, and they said, would you be interested in coming back over and rebuilding this gun back into a Han Solo blaster? And he said, yeah, I'll do it, but it needs to be authentic parts.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, so they were able to find one of the original scopes. They were able to get one of the flash suppressors off one of the German MGs. And so they say that it is about 80% screen accurate using original parts. They could not redo the scope mount because it had been cut off. So yeah, and I mean all the extra greebling and stuff that would have been just added by the art department. All that stuff is gone. However, so it was expected that this pistol was going to would bring in roughly $400,000. And to entice buyers, it also came with a handy autographed photo of Han Solo himself, signed by one Harry Ford. You notice that? He doesn't sign Harrison. He signs Harry. Harry Ford. Yeah. Well, when it came up, finally the auction closed just on August 28th. Are you ready for the winning bid, gentlemen?
Sure.
2.5.
$1,057,000. $1,057,000 on a screen used Mauser broom handle C96 pistol, restored mostly to that iconic weapon from
Not
from
even
Star
for
Wars.
a real blaster.
Well, remember though, in A New Hope used blank firing weapons, so
It's true.
the likelihood is that this one was, or maybe still is, capable of firing blanks. Not that I would want to.
No.
And there's no reason to do that anymore, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to get into the whole Alec Baldwin thing, but there really just is no reason to have to use real ammunition or blank ammunition in movies anymore. So, especially in a movie where guns go,
Yeah.
This is it.
fantastical laser beams.
Recoil, people. Recoil.
Well, you know. All right, I want to stick with sort of the thematically. I'm going to stay sort of in this space because Andy, you brought one to my attention. This one, you said you found it in Previews Magazine.
Yeah, it's in Previews Magazine.
Previews Magazine. Well, I went looking because the picture you sent me was very enticing. Something else came up earlier this year. That was a screen used shooting model of an X-Wing fighter, believed to be the last one.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah. So this one, lot number 386, A New Hope, screen matched ILM Red Leader X-Wing shooting model. This one turns out it was a pyrotechnic model. So they would have built several hero ships, and then they would have built some like lesser definition ships that could do other things in the backgrounds, as well as ships that they would have made for pyro to blow them up. So, this one was estimated to bring in somewhere between $500,000 to $1 million. And again, this one has a really awesome story. Again, I've put the details to the Propstore of LA to the listing for this in our description, as well as the embedded video that's there. You may have actually seen this back on Adam Savage's Tested YouTube channel. He actually did a walkthrough of this model back before the auction opened. So basically,
primed for it anyway.
What's that?
It's a good way to get people primed for it.
Absolutely. They say this is the Red Leader X-Wing, but if you look at the markings on that, that is clearly marked as Red 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Red 3, as we were joking today earlier in our private conversation, Red 3 was the X-Wing flown by Biggs Darklighter.
Biggs.
But here's the thing. They actually discovered that this model, they could trace it back to historical photos. All the weathering and the blaster scoring actually trace it back to the fact that it is, in fact, Red 1 or Red Leader. And basically, at some point, they would have repainted it because the charge, this is the one that the basically blows up around his engines before he crashes into the Death Star.
Yeah.
Because it didn't break the model, at some point it was repainted, but they believe that it was never filmed as Red 3, but it is definitely Red 1 or Red Leader's X-Wing.
Nice.
Yeah. So again, estimated to bring in between $500,000 to $1 million. This one, when was this? This was back on late June. So June 24th, the auction closed, and the high bid, oh my God, $2,375,000.
Wow.
Well, I mean, these numbers are like astronomically crazy, and it got me to thinking, what else is out there?
Yeah.
So unless I've missed something, now if you're watching this live and you know that there's something, oh, that's okay.
Can you close that, Lauren?
That's live for you, folks. No, it's totally okay.
Thanks. I'm back.
Excellent.
That was the sound of an X-Wing.
Yeah, exactly. Just he was rolling into the trench run.
Well, somebody could afford one.
If you guys out there are big into the Star Wars kind of the prop world and kind of like how things have migrated around the world, and you know of some expensive items, unless I've missed something, this X-Wing selling for $2.375 million makes it the second most expensive Star Wars item in history.
But if that's only the second.
Okay, well that's where we're going to go with the next slide, because earlier this week on our social media, I put up a blurred out slide of the top five most expensive Star Wars items in history. And I asked, do you know what they are?
No.
We did get one response. We got a response from our friend Sean, who said the rocket firing Boba Fett has to be up there somewhere.
The prototype one.
Sean, not even close, my friend. All right, I have compiled a slide that details the top 5 most expensive Star Wars items. The number 1 spot goes to an R2-D2, a 43-inch R2-D2 that was an amalgamation of parts from the original trilogy, sold in 2017. $2.76 million.
Wow.
It is, yeah.
Expensive droid.
That is the number 1 most expensive Star Wars item ever sold at auction. Number 2 is our X-Wing at $2.375 million, sold this year. Number 3, that Han Solo blaster that just sold, $1.57 million this year as well. Number 4, a Darth Vader helmet for $898,420 went in 2019. And number 5, probably I would never have gotten this without doing the research. The Panavision PSR 200 35mm camera used to film Star Wars.
Wow.
At $625,000 back in 2011. Comment from Sean. I wasn't even close. No, sir, you were not close. Although I should have put that in there. There was mention of a rocket firing Boba Fett that went for 27,000. I could be wrong. It's like tens of thousands though for a rocket firing Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And no, you didn't know somebody who had one. Nobody in your friend group
nobody knew. No.
Nobody had one. Unless
Nobody's
you're
cousin.
Sweet and you knew.
Nobody's cousin had one.
That's right. No. I knew a kid whose dad worked at Kenner, and they had all kinds of these at home. No, they didn't.
No.
All right. So I wanted to go through that a little bit. I thought that was kind of a fun way to sort of wet the whistle and open the floodgates on what's going on. Next news item. This isn't a new one. This is actually an old one. And I don't know. Don't ask me why it came up on my radar this week. Guys, remember before Disney, long before Disney, we had that, Hank, we've talked about this, the dark times. There was no Star Wars.
No Star Wars.
There was a bit of a candle flicker, if I can call it that. That was the Ewoks and the Droids cartoon. They ran
85, yeah?
Yeah, 85. So, cool thing, droids. I mean, chronicling the adventures of R2-D2 and C-3PO before they came into the service of Princess Leia. Now, droids and Ewoks, by the way, was animated right here in Canada by Nelvana. These are the same people that did the Care Bears, which was probably their most famous production ever. Also, they did the first season of Inspector Gadget. They did My Pet Monster. And if you're a fan of Nelvana, you may have heard of their feature film Rock and Rule.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
I love it.
So good.
So there's more of a Star Wars connection here. They also did, like, George Lucas really, really liked Nelvana. He liked them so much that he got them to do the animated segment of the 79 holiday special, The Faithful Wookiee, which you can watch on Disney Plus. That's the animated segment, and that's where the animation models for the droids actually come from. So right down to 3PO's 3-fingered hands. That's a hallmark of Nelvana animation, is that human and humanoid characters tend to have like less digits on their limbs.
Easier to animate.
Well, listen, I gotta say this. Probably one of the most memorable aspects. First of all, of the two shows, did you guys have a particular favorite of the two?
I like Ewoks better.
Really? And I went the other way. I leaned towards droids. I thought that droids felt more like Star Wars, or at least Star Wars as a whole. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that the Ewoks, you get to see them more as a developed society.
And they talked.
Glenn
chooses Ewoks. That is a fair choice.
I don't know if you guys knew Mark, but Kelly, his brother Mark, anyway, Wes, was a background animator on Ewoks.
Right. So you had mentioned that before.
And I used to have, and I had it for the longest time. He did a sketch of a Duloc camp, and there was Ewok skulls on pikes and It was, and they like projected it, and I had it on my wall forever.
One thing about droids that I think we could agree on as sort of a high watermark was it had an exceptionally catchy theme tune.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
So that theme tune, it's called Trouble Again, and I'm going to play a clip here for you, just a short one here. Trouble again. Trouble again. Did you know that song was written and performed by Stuart Copeland of the Police?
Really? Totally did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, by
Yes,
1985, Stuart Copeland had already broken into scoring films and stuff. He's done quite a few films. He did Highlander 2 for all of the nerd
we won't
culture.
hold that against him.
The score might even be better than the movie. Glenn says they were both thick with cheese, though. I can't. Yeah, absolutely.
Heavy.
They totally were.
And
I mean,
now that they're on Disney, rewatching them, I was like, what was I thinking?
You know what? Rewatching Droids, I actually
Droids is very solid.
I think it holds up
a lot of it. Yeah,
fairly well.
Watched a few of the Ewoks episodes. They didn't take me out of it.
Sean says I have 2 Ewok figures.
Nice.
Excellent. From the Ewoks animated series. Some of those figures, they are they're after the final 17. So
yeah, they're up there.
They are. So are the droids. In my retail business, I was able to acquire, and I did not own it, but I was able to broker a deal and move a droid's C-3PO.
Remember that?
That was good. Yeah, that was what 2016, 2017?
Somewhere in there.
We brokered that figure for 600 Canadian dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a nice figure.
Loose. Yeah, it's an awesome figure. That figure specifically is a complete reuse of the Empire Strikes Back breakaway. Right down to the limbs like falling apart. So they commonly, if you played with them enough, they would just fall apart.
Oh, they got super loose.
It was in fantastic
wiggle all over the place.
Yeah. So I want to go back to Trouble Again. Trouble Again. Here's what's newsworthy about this. Stuart Copeland did an interview with Den of Geek like a long time ago, and you know what he said? He said, the theme song, it's only like just over a minute long, but we recorded an entire song. So somewhere in the Lucasfilm vaults is a full-length song, Trouble Again.
Nice.
Written and sung by Stuart Copeland of the Police. I thought that was kind of fun.
Neat.
Yeah. All right. This one, this may or may not come as a surprise. This next one here, we finally got word that Rogue Squadron, the Patty Jenkins Star Wars movie, has been pulled from the Disney release schedule. Now, a lot of people have been really vocal about this. I've seen all the jokes. The big one being, they saw Wonder Woman 1984. It seems to be the common one, right? The common discourse.
Yeah, it wasn't the worst movie ever.
It wasn't.
I've seen worse.
It's not great either. It's not great as far as superhero movies are concerned. That's my honest opinion. And of the 2 Wonder Woman films, it is the inferior movie.
Yeah.
There are aspects of it that I really liked, but Rogue Squadron pulled from the release schedule, and there's been no word whether or not Disney is going to use that release slot for something else. Also, there has been no mention of whether this removal from the release schedule means that the movie is
permanently scrapped or
done,
just shelved.
One thing I will say about this is if you've been following the news on this, and we kind of do, that's kind of our job here. I've been following this one.
Star Wars show.
Right. Remember last year, the movie went into permanent, the production went on sort of permanent delay, indefinite delay. Well, I mean, we are now September 2022. This movie was supposed to release on December 22nd, 2023. So the window to actually make the movie and have it ready for that release date is we're talking like it's virtually closed at this point. So, I mean, even if they could get her schedule worked out, and by the way, that is sort of the leading sort of theory is that Patty Jenkins is just busy doing other things. I haven't seen anything yet.
Come on, focus.
It seems a lot like they go public with all of their ideas, and with some of them not being very solid yet. And I think some of these creators get thrown out with the bathwater like that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you get if you were on the outside and you didn't read articles and you just read headlines, you would think this lady was a shitty director. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I don't know that it has anything to do with her art. I don't know that it has anything to do with her as a person or the Rogue Squadron thing as it existed before. I think Disney's crazy fickle. And I mean, we've seen, it could all be publicity at the same time. We've seen them just sort of dangle this Rian Johnson trilogy carrot over and over and over. And as soon as you forget that it's happening, there's an article somewhere about, oh, it's still happening. Rian Johnson's still thinking about it. Where's the carrot of the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie? Like, it seems like they just can't, while they're giving us all the TV we could want, they keep dangling film carrots.
Well, that is the one thing that it does say with absolute certainty is that with Rogue Squadron now off the release schedule, there are absolutely 0 Star Wars films in the pipeline. It is all TV currently.
Yeah.
So maybe they're banking on a collapse of theater.
I think Disney at this point, I'm going to stick with Rogue Squadron here for a minute because this is one that actually had me pretty excited. That early marketing material with Patty Jenkins strapping on her rollerblades and then skating up towards that X-Wing with the flight suit kind of tied around her waist was really evocative of like, oh yeah, I need this. And then my most anticipated movie of 2021 came out in 2022, and that was Top Gun Maverick. And I am, I'm a 10-year-old kid all over again. If you were to take the Star Wars lens and put it over top of Maverick and make a Star Wars movie where we're training I am so in on that.
Yeah.
I mean, the joke was that Maverick borrowed heavily from the themes and plot of Star Wars, like with the trench run and having to hit a small target at a high rate of speed. And we all kind of tongue in cheek went, haha, that's kind of neat. But man, people want to see dogfighting, and I want to see more dogfighting in Star Wars. The big joke for us, we've said it before, where's the war in Star Wars? We've had how many shows now where
Planet Wars.
the biggest, in Star Wars television, the biggest dogfight we had was
Mandalorian.
Mando, and it was less of a dogfight and more of a high-speed chase.
Yeah.
All he did was try to get away.
True.
So,
but he pulled off some crazy maneuvers in there.
Yes, he did. And then, of course, Boba Fett and those the pair of TIE fighters. We all love that. And I mean, that I think emotionally says, I mean, we as fans want more of that. So I am disappointed that this is.
I'd like to see the third battle of like the Return of the Jedi, like not redone, but I'd like that level of a space dogfight.
Well, I mean, why not
done today? Like, I'd like to see.
Why not? Why couldn't that be the crescendo of the Rogue Squadron movie? Is Rogue Squadron's participation in the Battle of Endor?
Oh, easily.
Or something like that, right? Huge event that we are already familiar with or not familiar with.
Yeah.
All right. So, knowing that we are in for a plethora of Star Wars television, I'll turn our attention to another property. Very quietly this week, we got an announcement that Filipino-Canadian actor Manny Jacinto has joined the cast of The Acolyte in an undisclosed role. Now, Manny has had several one-off TV roles that you've probably never heard of. And he is in a, speaking of Maverick, he is in a barely seen Top Gun Maverick role where he plays a character by the name of Lieutenant Billy Fritz Avalone, a character who has absolutely zero dialogue and does a lot of push-ups and has virtually no screen time.
But at least he's there.
Well, and that means that he's now joining the already announced cast, consisting of Amanda Stenberg. Of course, that's Rue from the Hunger Games. Hopefully I don't mispronounce this gentleman's name. Lee Young Jai, who played Song Gi-hun in Squid Game. popular Netflix movie.
Still haven't seen it yet.
No, neither have I. And then we get
It's really good.
Jodie Turner-Smith. Now, if you, have you guys seen her work? She's
No,
amazing. Karen Greer, the Without Remorse. That's the Michael B. Jordan movie that takes place in the same universe as Jack Ryan.
Okay.
In the Clancy verse, I guess it is. She also played Sergeant Azima Kindle on TNT's The Last Ship. She was basically an African Special Forces soldier. She's fantastic, by the way. I can't say enough about her. And then all the way back to she had the coveted role of Siren number 2 in True Blood. The Acolyte is said to be a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. I'm ready for the High Republic. I haven't read anything.
Something from the side of the Sith.
But seeing the promotional artwork and seeing the plethora of comic book covers that I looked at this week, a lot of High Republic stuff, it's very beautiful looking.
We're heading into phase 2.
All right. So I should have prefaced this by saying that none of these are in any particular order. You'd think that going into Andor this week, I would have ended with Andor, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted to save what I think is the most exciting thing to the very end. And believe it or not, for me, it's not Andor. And I'm really excited for this show. So moving into Andor news this week, the season premiere is this Wednesday, September 21st on Disney Plus. It is a 3-episode debut. The media screenings have already happened. They got to see the first 4 episodes. I got another thing here. I'm going to pull that up. Yeah, they got to see 4 episodes. In case you want to know, there's a Reddit out there that says the runtimes for the first 4 episodes. I'm going to read that to you now. Episode runtimes come courtesy of a screenshot posted to Reddit on the Disney Plus screener platform used by critics. According to the screenshot, Andor episode 1 runs for 39 minutes. Episode 2 is 35 minutes. Episode 3 is 40 minutes. And episode 4, 47 minutes. So we're getting that 3-episode premiere. We are basically getting a feature-length film.
Yeah.
Still gonna leave you wanting more.
You know how much of our how much prep time we spend on our shows, and we know from experience that the credits on these shows are like 6-7 minutes of credits is not out of the question. So do those runtimes include the credits? I mean, that's part of our show. We always say what is the length with and without.
Yeah.
Gives you a better idea. I would suspect that is just whatever the thumbnail says, the 30-minute, 40-minute, whatever.
Right.
So they're probably going to be a little bit thinner than that, but still,
that's a lot.
We're getting a feature-length movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nervous as hell.
Well, if any of the rumors about the first season covering 5 years of
his life,
right? Then they're going to pack a lot of stuff into the first seasons.
Yeah. Do we have the episode count?
I don't know. 12 or 13.
Is it 12 or 13? I thought so. I thought it was a fairly robust.
Yeah, I think it's 12.
Robust season. And I mean, they're coming out with these. They're consistent. The episode lengths are consistent with previous live action Star Wars TV. So fairly meaty for what they've been, I suppose. We got some new character posters this week. I did not find them I went looking on the Disney Plus media site. I couldn't find them. So I had to cobble them from across the internet, but we have new character posters this week for Diego Luna's Cassian Andor, Genevieve O'Reilly's Mon Mothma, and Stellan Skarsgård's new character, Luthen Rail. Luthen Rail? Rail? I think it's Rail.
Mm-hmm.
He seems pretty compelling to me.
Mm-hmm. Based on that short preview we got for Disney Plus Day.
Well, did you see that they dropped another trailer yesterday?
Did they?
There's a shot of his ship, whatever it is, and it looks like he's barrel rolling, and there's a beam weapon that's being projected out either side of the ship, very reminiscent of Star Trek phasers, like a continuous beam weapon that he's corkscrewing as he's making his escape from whatever it is he's doing.
Cool.
But yeah, looks really, really cool. And that brings me to the meat and potatoes of what's been going on this week. Man, a few days ago, it seems like every media outlet was reporting that Andor will not be full of fan service. We've got several headlines here. Showrunner says the series won't include cynical Star Wars fan service. Will not have any fan service. There will be none. Don't expect any fan service in Andor, says the showrunner.
But aren't you a fan of Cassian Andor already? So this whole thing is just going to service your fandom.
What is the definition that they?
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm not expecting Boba Fett to show up. I'm not expecting C-3PO to walk on camera.
I feel like
a Star Wars show.
Are they referring to fan service as what we refer to as Easter eggs? Because I watch those trailers and I go, "There's all kinds of stuff."
Yeah.
As a Star Wars fan, that I go, "Wow, wow, wow!"
Clone gunships, phase 2 clones in live action, not CGI.
So I don't understand.
These are big deals.
Does this actually originate with the showrunner, or is this more of that horse shit that they pump?
I'm asking the same questions. I've said, where is the line between wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and this thing that you're already familiar with from other Star Wars media versus this thing is here specifically to drive the story. Therefore, it's not considered fan service, because in my opinion,
that's still fan service.
When you understand the depth, and we've said it many, many times before, the rhyming stanzas of a poem. I had a conversation with a friend of mine earlier this week where I was sort of explaining that concept, and I had to remind him, at its most simplistic form, it's the reason why we have multiple characters from multiple eras reiterating the same lines of dialogue. It's not just so you can go, oh, I know what they're talking about.
You said the line.
Right. It is that sense that the themes and the ideas, they are cyclical. And we've said this many, many times. There's a deeper thing happening here.
Yeah. Hope resonates throughout the galaxy.
Well, I put some images together. Does that mean that are these fan service? I mean, was Leia, Tony, this is Tony Gilroy we're talking about, by the way, who was involved, was part of the Rogue One feature film, by the way. I think he wrote and directed as well.
He was brought in to save it, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, we've got Leia at the end of that movie. Is that fan service? What about Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian, or Max Rebo in the Book of Boba Fett, and of course the Rancor? Are these just fan service moments?
I don't know. Like, are you a fan? Do you want to be serviced? I like, but do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to watch Star Wars with nothing Star Wars in it. Is that what they're getting at? I think they're running with a small sample of what he said. I also have seen a lot of clickbait articles this week about how he's talking about he's not a fan of Star Wars. And if you read the actual
wrong project.
Right. But if you read the actual article, the interview with him, he doesn't say that per se. He's just said, I'm making something that if you aren't a Star Wars fan, you can still engage with. And they're taking it, twisting it, and running with it, which is what I assume they're doing with this.
Yeah. Well, I got one more to I mean, if these things, blur are sort of in the realm, and I would say the top two, while they are fan service on some level, because, oh my God, we're excited to see them, they are hugely important to the stories that they're telling. Princess Leia getting the plans to the Death Star and rocketing off to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's where A New Hope begins. That's part of the story.
It's a connecting piece.
Luke Skywalker turning up because who else could be, who else was Grogu summoning, really? Yeah. There was nobody else. I mean, sure. The other two, Max Rebo for the sake of just having him in the background, to me, sure, that's a little more fan servicey.
Yeah, it just tells us he survived the barge.
Sure. And to some degree, the Rancor, showing up and going all kaiju on Mos Espa there is a little fan servicey.
Maybe, but we all love the Rancor and Jedi, and after what we saw in Bad Batch, it's like, okay, what can we accomplish now with the technology they have?
So true.
Who wouldn't want to see that?
It feels cohesive. If I was on Tatooine and I didn't see Max Rebo playing at the most popular bar in town, I might not think about it, but it's not out of sorts at all. It's cohesive. It keeps us in the world that we love that they've created for us.
The discourse would say, and this isn't necessarily a line of discourse that I'm proposing, but we did talk about it. Didn't Max Rebo die on the barge? Didn't a bunch of people die on the barge, and then he just turns up? Okay, I'm fine with it, but is that fan service? Because
we just done 3 minutes on Max Rebo. I mean, like, we're fans. This is what we want. I if there are no stormtroopers in Andor, I'll think it's pretty weird.
Okay, well, listen, if we're undecided on fan service, there's a blink and you'll miss it moment from the Andor trailer, and I'm going to bring this up for you here now. Is this fan service? Because this is not a legacy character. This is a brand new character. This is Captain Carson Teva. It's our man, Paul Lee from Kim's Convenience, who was introduced in The Mandalorian, has a face-to-face moment with Cassian Andor, and he's an Imperial officer.
So we're going to find out his origins.
Is this a fan service moment? What is this?
This is expanding his story.
Yeah, this is a character that we really like. We're already gravitating towards him. We were so close to what we thought Rangers of the New Republic. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that. We thought that was going to be his.
It could be his show. Could be his show.
I mean, and therefore, why bother with a Rogue Squadron movie if we're going to do a Rogue Squadron TV show?
Right.
That stuff is, again, cohesion, and of course they're building this new cinematic universe, if you will. So they absolutely want things to cross over.
I think so.
And this is just proving that the articles are like just cynical themselves. This is
cynicism for the sake of,
right? Yeah. This is just let's say negative stuff so people will click on our article and just
Sean says it's his twin sister Maxie.
It's a big galaxy, man.
Maybe. Well, listen, I've got Tony Gilroy's quote here. I'm going to bring this up here so we can all take a look at it. He says, speaking to Variety on the upcoming series, Tony Gilroy, who wrote Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and created the upcoming Andor, said that rather than focus on some of the more well-known characters of the Star Wars world, they wanted Andor to focus more on the lesser-known normal people who might find themselves in that universe. Quote, I wanted to do something about real people, Gilroy said. They've made all this IP about the royal family. In essence, it's been great. But there's a billion other things in the galaxy. There's plumbers and cosmeticians, journalists. What are their lives like? Mm-hmm. The revolution is affecting them just as much as anybody else. Why not use the Star Wars canon as a host organism for absolutely realistic, passionate, dramatic storytelling? When asked if any legacy characters may pop up in the series, Gilroy kept coy, but he noted that if they did, it would never be for the purpose of fan service and never to have them appear for the sake of being in the series. Quote, never fan service. It's never cynical, said Gilroy. It's always meant to be there. It's always protein. It's never icing. I think that's pretty clear if you ask me.
If they show up, they're going to show up for a reason.
I feel like,
which is fine.
Reading that statement now, I mean, I kind of put them up for fun, but looking at those images and now like reading Tony's statement and really kind of thinking about what he's saying, I think that he does have a pretty good understanding of the property. I think he understands it in the same way that we do, that it's never, we've always said that everything in Star Wars is intentional. And I think that's kind of what he's saying.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Family Guy's been joking about it for years, but like, wouldn't that be a great show to find like your plumbers and your construction guys working on the Death Star? Like they're not bad. They've taken a contracting job.
The Lower Decks analogy, talking about, the Star Trek analogy, Lower Decks is doing just that.
Yeah.
A bunch of characters that you would never, crewman nobody who shares a room with 20 other people. You never see these people, yet you've got an entire show in the other Star franchise that is doing just that.
Yeah, it works.
And it can work for Star Wars too.
Absolutely. And I still think we need our Bass Pro Shop in space.
Kevin Smith, so true. Where are we at here? Okay, so that's all I'm going to talk about for Andor, because we're just days away.
Next week.
We are just days away. We're going to get it full force. Moving on to another one. This comes out of D23, by the way. We're going to talk about Skeleton Crew for a little bit. We talked about Skeleton Crew before, and when we knew absolutely nothing about it. And by the way, By the way,
Speculation.
we know like a smidge more than what we knew before.
Smidge more than nothing.
That's right. What did we say? We were going into the definition of what is a skeleton crew, like the minimum number of people you'd need to run a
Yeah.
starship.
Like the
Sure.
two guys working on the prison barge.
Yeah. What we did learn is what did we get here? We got some more details on what the series is going to be about. John Watts says that even though the show is for kids, it's not actually going to be a kids show. And the big news from D23 was this imagery, which shows off star Jude Law in what he's going to look like going into the series. Also, we get some concept art of the ship that apparently is going to be sort of the focus of the series. What do we get here? We got a statement from both John Watts and Kathleen Kennedy, which I think is really cool. By the way, Jude Law standing there. It looks like 3 of those. The ball droids, the door knocker, the doorbell droid.
What you would think?
Yeah, that guy. There's like 3 of them. So something's going on there.
Somebody upgraded security.
And then we've got sort of the silhouette of some younger people in the background. So John Watts, who's the showrunner, says it's a story about a group of kids about 10 years old from a tiny little planet who accidentally get lost in the Star Wars galaxy. And it's the story of their journey trying to find their way home. We like the idea of using kids to give you a different perspective and see the galaxy through a different pair of eyes. And I'll bring this up full screen so I can actually read it. Kathleen says, John Watts came to me very much wanting to do a sort of Goonies in Star Wars. Needless to say, I'm going to say yes. And so it's just evolved out of that kind of enthusiasm in wanting to tell stories in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Goonies in space.
Oh, man.
Why not?
Yep.
If you can do it,
yep.
If you could pull that off, I'd be super happy. I love Goonies.
As soon as I saw kids lost in space, so immediately I'm already thinking Lost in Space for one. But it also made me think, and she says Goonies, so it makes me think of some other sort of other kid-centric adventure films of the day that really, I can't not make an analogy with the 2 Ewok made-for-TV films.
Sure. Goonies is about kids hunting pirate treasure, and that puts me so close to Hondo and Naka. I will draw analogies all day long trying to find Hondo and Naka in live action.
When I saw Kids Lost in Space and Jude Law being the adult, I immediately went to Adventures in Babysitting, and he's the babysitter, whether he wants to be or not, right?
I mean, Stranger Things was so good at capturing that energy from all those movies, like everything you see on the screen there. That, I mean, it's natural. There's a we all loved those movies and that energy. So if they can pull it off again, I'm all in.
All right, and then of course E.T. as well. I mean, because kids and aliens. That just seems to me that they're. I'm not saying that this is sort of the influences for this upcoming series, but I won't be surprised if we see trappings of them in it.
Maybe they'll pick up the equivalent to a sloth along the way.
Yeah.
Be it a baby Rancor or whatever.
All right, I'm going to turn our attention back to Star Wars animation. I know I've been really hotly anticipating what this was going to look like. At D23, they got a really good look at it, and so did we. It's Tales of the Jedi. Now, it's going to be an anthology series consisting of 6 shorts. Now,
relatively soon, is it not?
October 26th.
Yeah, not too long.
So there, gentlemen,
it's going to overlap.
There may be some overlap.
There's going to be some overlap. Yeah.
We may have to do the casual Sunday nights talking about Tales and leave the other stuff for the crunch.
The deep dive.
6 shorts, roughly 15 minutes apiece. Now, the first episode was screened at D23 last weekend, and they revealed the title. It is called Life and Death. Now, what we've seen in the trailer is an animation style that is very much in line with the previous Star Wars animation that we've seen in the CGI shows, particularly the Clone Wars Season 7. It's that more refined, more smooth look. And the trailer tells us on the nose, no uncertain terms, that these 6 shorts are broken down into basically 2 overarching stories. The first one, I'm calling it the first one. It may not be the first one, but one of those is surrounding Ahsoka Tano, whom we are going to visit at different points in her life. In fact, according to IGN, they say that Life and Death, the opening scene in Life and Death, is the birth of Ahsoka Tano. So that's kind of cool. We got a comment here. Anonymous Facebook user, woot woot. I am with you. I am so with you.
I really hope it's Ashley Eckstein doing the voice of Ahsoka too.
I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean,
no, it should be empirical.
Listening to the it's Matt Lanter back as
right.
Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
I can't think of the gentleman's name who voices Mace in this, but it's Mace again.
It should be Sam Jackson because
the season 7 bit.
I just read yeah, exactly, and I read an article basically saying Sam Jackson is returning to Star Wars, but it's not how you think.
Yeah, it's not. It is the Mace Windu character. The trailer, it's on the nose. He gets dialogue in the trailer. It is the animation actor whose name escapes me. Yeah, it definitely is. So then the second tale that we were getting in Tales of the Jedi focuses on what is almost certainly the fall of Count Dooku. So there we are.
The rise of Darth Tyrannus.
The rise of Darth Tyrannus. This is the one. I mean, I love Ahsoka as much as anybody else, but this is the story that has me more like, oh, I want to know what's going on here. Particularly the fact that we get a young Qui-Gon Jinn. We get a Padawan learner Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yaddle.
Well, that's the other thing. There's I said to you earlier in the week, Hank, I'm like, Dooku and Yaddle are going to throw down.
Oh yeah,
as it appears to in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
A couple things in the trailer, though. I mean, I highly encourage you guys, if you have not seen this trailer yet, do go over to YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube already, go after, not right now, when our show is over. Go over to YouTube and you can check out the Tales of the Jedi trailer, and you can see exactly what we're talking about. 2 stories: Ahsoka Tano and Count Dooku, aka Darth Tyrannus. A couple things though that I'm going to pull out of this. I'm not going to break down the whole thing because we just don't have the time for that. But I do want to talk about a couple things in particular. One, who do we think's in this coffin? There's a funeral here, options. And there's it is heavily. I mean, I don't see any non-Jedi in attendance there.
Yeah, and it sets it in a definite time period because Dooku's right there in his prime.
Yeah, he's definitely still a member of the Order. Master Tera Sanube is still alive. We got Iktachi, Jedi Master. Oh my God, Sazy Teen standing there, and a few other faces in the background that you may or may not recognize. Given the subject matter, the fall of Count Dooku, the rise of Darth Tyrannus, that is absolutely a pivotal question. And in fact, is the answer Sifo Dyas?
Maybe.
That would be the logical answer.
To me, I think it is. Did we ever get a novelized explanation or a comic explanation, like an on the nose? Yep, this is what happened. We get a line of dialogue from Obi-Wan. Master Sifo Dyas was killed 10 years ago or something.
Yeah,
and there's the couple of episodes of the Clone Wars where Anakin and him track down the guy that went with Sifo Dyas.
Yeah,
to the Pikes to orchestrate, and they have him captive.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're all around it. I always got the impression before I'd even seen Clone Wars, having just seen Attack of the Clones as a younger man, thinking the whole time Tyrannus was impersonating Sifo Dyas, and it would make sense for that character to have to be eliminated at some point in the past for him to be able to pull that off.
I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one who thought that. I always thought that Tyrannus and Sifo Dyas were the same person.
Yeah. And then all Clone Wars did for me was confirm that Sifo Dyas was a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Who had been eliminated in the past, and then
killed by the Pikes.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's killed by the Pikes.
Yeah,
I believe he was killed by the Pikes.
Yeah, something to that effect. Coincidentally, no Pikes in this trailer, by the way.
You got to save something.
Not that I saw anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wasn't looking super hard, but I didn't see any Pikes. Okay, the other thing, and this should come as no surprise to anybody who knows how I feel about Star Wars, is we get a brand new Inquisitor.
Yeah, man.
Who is this guy? This
Mhm.
guy is like, I mean, this is nightmare fuel here. This guy makes the Grand Inquisitor look like your babysitter. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, there are a
this-
lot of numbers missing when we do the count, right?
yeah,
We've never, unless the Grand Inquisitor is the first brother, we've never encountered the first brother. And
That
for
is
that
true.
matter, when we number them, are there, we always assume, okay, the seventh sister, but is there a seventh brother too? Like, are they
that's true.
right? Are they named? Like we speculated that Reva, the third sister,
The third sister, yeah.
was like a slot that you were assigned when the former third sister died.
Yeah.
Like,
So, I
I
mean, you
remember
just inherit
speculating
their
that.
number. Like the new 007. They're
Yeah.
just the new
This guy looks
007.
like the first brother to me, if anybody looks like him.
Well, there's a couple things going on here. One is this Avion visage, which, I've looked at it pretty hard, and I've come to the conclusion that I believe this is a mask. I do not believe that this is the character's biology by any means. I believe it is
Right.
a mask, and I believe that the claws that we see on the end of his hands are gloves. That being said, there is an Avion species in Star Wars that looks an awful lot like this mask. And it goes all the way back to the Legends novel, Rogue Planet, the Foch.
Yeah.
Now, the Foch were brought forward into the new canon in Star Wars comics. Actually, it's the Marvel one-shot Age of Republic, Obi-Wan Kenobi #1 in 2019, but they were never named as the Foch. They're just this unnamed species. But I mean, that avian face is very, very much like that mask that we're looking at. So could this be a member of this particular species wearing a mask?
The Skeksis come to life.
Well, Skeksis is a good that's a
Fan
good
service.
Yeah. The other thing going on here, and this is me because you know how I like to speculate. This guy's got a very electronic modulated voice.
Mm.
And because the trailer makes such a point to focus in on his face and the deliberate slow dialogue, it's, you remember Affleck's voice as Batman with the throat, the modulator, how they disguised Bruce Wayne's voice to be Batman.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's very much like that. And for that reason, I think that this Inquisitor is going to turn out to be somebody we already know. I don't know who it is.
Cool.
I haven't even begun to speculate who it might be, but I feel that there will be a reveal and we will find out who they are.
Given
And
the time period.
and it'll be like it's going to be some Clone Wars era Jedi for sure, or somebody that's lost.
Or just to really throw it out there, what if this is young Palpatine?
Oh, well, he is where I'm going to go back up here. Back to this slide here, he is wearing the Imperial sigil on his cloak. So the Empire is already established.
Okay.
So this is clearly later on in Ahsoka's career.
Well, if we're going to establish a major villain for the Ahsoka show with something like a 15-minute cartoon, it could certainly be Barriss Offee.
Oh, nice. That's fantastic. I never thought about that. If I put more thought into it, I might have got there, but
the whole time I was playing the first Jedi Fallen Order game, I thought that we were going to get Barriss Offee as the fifth sister or whatever she was in that.
How many subtle nods have we had to her in Star Wars television in the last 2 years? We've had two good ones.
At least.
Yeah, real good.
Two good ones standing outside of her door.
Huge one in the Book of Boba Fett flashback there. Huge.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's our look at Tales of the Jedi. Those are two really cool things that I'm looking forward to seeing resolved. Speaking of Ahsoka Tano, we're gonna move over and talk about Ahsoka for a little bit here. We got a casting announcement this week. We now have Ezra Bridger. Actor director Iman Esfandi has been officially cast as the live action Ezra Bridger. He had a very small role in King Richard with Will Smith. Do you guys know him at all? I don't
know. No offense to this young gentleman at all, I'm just glad that we have officially got an Ezra Bridger.
Yeah, like for sure, we do.
I'm super. I hope he's talented. He looks perfect visually. You know, I wish him all the best.
Great.
But this is the confirmation that we are getting Rebels season 5.
Well,
and I'm more excited about that than anything I've been excited about in Star
Ahsoka
Wars
season
for
1.
so
No.
long. For so
It's not
long.
the first season of Ahsoka. It's the 5th season of Rebels.
I'll say it time and again. I'll die on the hill. Rebels is peak Star Wars.
Absolutely, it absolutely is. So last year, you guys remember all of the chitter chatter surrounding this character?
Yeah,
you remember the whole thing with you might remember Mina Masood,
right?
Live action Aladdin.
From Aladdin. That's right.
Yeah, so he was rumored to be up for the role for a long time.
He was out there putting himself out there a lot.
It turns out that he really leaned in on the hype train that really wasn't there per se.
Right.
He has released a statement. Have you guys seen it?
No,
I think I have seen
no. It. Okay, well here, Mina Masood tweeted, "Glad the rumors will stop now. Never really had a fair shot at it, unfortunately. One self-tape months ago, but just wasn't meant for me, I guess. Can't deny the dude looks exactly like Ezra. Hope it's done justice."
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but when I read that,
sour grapes,
man, does it ever read like I'm really not happy about this. You know, there are different media outlets that are sort of reporting on this, and the hubbub is that, well, you weren't necessarily up for it, and just because you made an unsolicited audition tape and sent it forward,
he's sort of literally trying the Rosario Dawson method. Like the fans cast her first, she made a big deal about it, and then they actually looked at her. I think he was trying that method. You know, but you remember that Wizard magazine where in the 80s where they cast Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier
as Xavier,
and everybody went, "Of course, there's nobody else in the world that could do that."
I feel like, you know, we talk about this kind of thing, casting announcements, especially for a show like Ahsoka, where we only really have, we know for a fact that Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka Tano. That's irrefutable. How many times do movies get where the casting choice is really, it's formulaic. It's just a formality. The role was written for insert name here, and their audition is literally just a formality.
No, it's too bad because like you do realize, like as you get older, you know, the mystique is gone. They orchestrate these things. Like if they need Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan to be in a love movie, so they make one, right? You know, and often they're not concerned with chemistry, which is why often you get trash fires,
stuff that doesn't
work.
Just
watch that doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, like if it wasn't for the audition process, we would have had a very different Star Wars with Jodie Foster and Christopher Walken and you know.
Then you get the other ones like the guy from Underworld, where he wrote it specifically for Kate Beckinsale, and ended up marrying her with it.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Didn't Spielberg marry Kate Capshaw?
He absolutely did.
After the second indie movie, yeah.
Yes, he did. Well, listen, the whole Mina Masood thing, it's unfortunate. I feel like it reads like he's a little upset about that. And I don't know if it's justified or not. I mean, I guess that's sort of where
he's probably got a break career ahead of him, man.
Well, I was so in my research reading some articles. Now his IMDb has a couple more credits since then, but back in 2019, after Aladdin opened up, he was quite open about, I have not auditioned for anything since, that he had a bit of a dry spell there. So, you know, you got to think that a shot at a Star Wars project was a real Hail Mary, but at the same time could have been something important for him, you know, in terms of a bigger career.
Sure.
Well, they don't very often let their characters cross over from movies, right? Like,
no, that's true.
Very rarely will you find somebody from the Marvel universe over in the regular Disney universe.
Yeah. Well, the addition of Iman Esfandi brings our cast of Rebels, confirmed cast of Rebels, up to 3, as I'd said earlier. The aforementioned Rosario Dawson, absolutely
Elizabeth,
cast.
Winstead cast.
Well,
I can only assume she's going to be Hera.
These are our named. These are our known named people. We've got
That's
Rosario
true.
Dawson playing Ahsoka Tano. Previously, as we said before, Iman S. Vendy is our Ezra Bridger, and Natasha Liu Bordizzo as our live-action Sabine Wren. As you said, Hank, we do have Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who is currently in an unnamed role. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Could very well be Hera.
I think so.
We also have Hayden Christensen coming back as Anakin Skywalker.
Flashbacks.
Ray Stevenson will be playing an unnamed admiral, but not Thrawn. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
Take that for whatever however you want to take it. I like Ray Stevenson, by the way. I think he's great. I've enjoyed his work going back to Rome, the Rome miniseries, where he played Titus Pullo. Excellent. Yeah, and he's been pretty good in some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, guys, that kind of closes out sort of where I wanted to end on the news. I wanted to sort of end on sort of the live action stuff for Ahsoka, but do you want one more?
Sure.
I got one more little tidbit for you. Guys, remember back now, if we're going to go with it is season 5 of Rebels, we can't not talk about the Rebels connection here. Remember season 5? Remember the epilogue?
No.
You don't remember?
Oh,
okay. Well, spoiler alert for you, Andy. There's an epilogue in Rebels in the last episode that depicts Sabine Wren standing in front of a mural, and it's this mural right here, where she's reflecting on her time with the Ghost crew, as well as sort of what she plans on doing next. In fact, the sequence actually looks quite a bit like this, where we see Sabine enter the building. You know, she's got a new hair. She's rocking a new hairstyle, by the way. It's much shorter and it's one color. Carrying her Mandalorian helmet under her arm while she's wearing a satchel strapped across her left side. She walks up to the mural. She kind of reaches out and kind of touches Ezra's face. As she's narrating sort of what's going on with the Rebels crew, we get the introduction of Jason Syndulla, who's went on to be, well, we all know who his father was. There's this clang of metal, ka-ting, off camera, and Sabine turns around, and it's Ahsoka standing there in her Ahsoka the Grey robes, and the two of them depart on a Jedi shuttle as they decide that it's time to bring Ezra home. Well, if you have not seen this, prepare to be amazed, because, as you say, Ahsoka season 1, it's Rebels season 5, because the folks in attendance at D23 were treated to this image, and that is Natasha Liu Bordizzo doing that epilogue scene in live action as she's standing there in front of that mural. Oh, I am so excited. I'm actually getting flush. I can feel my face getting flush as I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
I saw that image, and I mean that's like a camera image that is not a high res image by any means. That's somebody inside the theater took that shot and snuck it out. Oh my God, it's literally, I don't know if this is going to be the beginning of the series or where this fits in, but this is, I mean, you can't tell me that is not the epilogue.
That's 100% what that is. I mean, I mean, even if it isn't the exact epilogue, clearly that's a piece of her art. She's put it somewhere and she's about to, depart. The other thing is, she said that she spent the whole time on Lothal. During that whole the rest of them, like Hera, Rex.
They all went off and did stuff.
And they fought at the Battle of Endor, for frig's sakes. Like, she stayed on Lothal because that's, she didn't go to, I mean, we don't know, but assumedly Mandalore was already not a thing for her. Like, there's so many unanswered questions with every single character there.
Yeah, sure.
I can't wait.
Are we going to get the band back together? I mean,
it's unequivocal.
Are we going to get Zeb back?
Maybe.
That's an expensive character to do live action.
Oh yeah, but
shoot him from the waist up.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, it could definitely, if he was in a suit, as good as the Wookiee suits.
Absolutely,
I'd totally be down. Chopper, live action Chopper. Let's just do a half hour of me gushing.
It's easy enough to do.
Yep.
Well, listen, that is my last slide. And I thought, you know what? I know we're going into Andor and we're like super excited for that, but I know how much of a Rebels fan that you are, Hank, and I am as well. I thought that would be the appropriate slide to finish.
Well done,
on.
sir. Yeah.
Anonymous Facebook user says, but he would be worth it. Yes, Zeb Aurelios coming back in live action would totally be worth it.
Yeah.
Do it right.
You know me. I want everybody, and I want an adult.
Who are they going to cast as live action Callus? Like, maybe we should, talk
fantasy
about our
cast.
fantasy
We should
cast
fantasy
the
cast
rest
that
of
one.
the
Yeah,
the
that
rest
could
of
be
that
fun.
cast. Yeah.
That could be totally fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me get rid of this here so we can go back to
Dennis Leary.
There we go. I wouldn't be upset with that.
No, I just that'd be wicked. Like, Dennis Leary from the late Dennis Leary. Yeah.
I'm just going to go back to our chat from the other night here because this has got sort of the way forward, and I just want to end on sort of the decision that we made. So if you're catching this live, there's a good chance, folks, next Sunday night there will be no live stream, and that is because we will be busy putting the finishing touches on the first 3 episodes of our next review series. That's Fandor. So again, Andor premieres on Wednesday. So that means Wednesday of our own volition, we will get up, we will watch all 3 episodes, and then we are heads down and we are writing and prepping the episodes, which we are going to do as a pre-recorded show. So we're going to pre-record the first 3 episodes over the next weekend so that all 3 episodes, that's Fandor 1, 2, and 3, will all drop at the same time throughout the day on Monday. So that's next Monday. I don't even know what the date is next Monday.
An hour and a half of Andor will translate into 6 hours of us.
So we are, where are we now? We are the 18th. So next Monday will be the 26th. Monday the 26th. You'll be able to hit up the Fan and Power Podcast YouTube channel where you will be able to find the first 3 episode reviews that we will be doing in the usual style that you all are accustomed to. As I said, I did a guest spot on another show last weekend, and one of the other guests was like, so what's your show about? I said, well, we're not really a Star Wars show, but we do a lot of Star Wars content. So when we review the shows, I said, we're kind of like the audio book of live action Star Wars. So if you don't watch the episode of the show, you could watch our podcast or listen to our podcast and you would be just as well informed. In fact, you might even be better informed because we hit on all the Easter eggs.
We do voices,
lore connections. Nobody says they're good voices, but hey, yeah. So that is it, folks. That is it for me. Like I said, no live stream next Sunday. I apologize. I mean, if we're really, really ambitious, who knows? Maybe even if it's just to go, we finished all our work. So yeah, do keep watching She-Hulk. Do keep in touch with us through all of our social media. Also, you can check out our Patreon. It's Fan and Power Podcast at patreon.com if you want to be a member of the production crew and you can help us out. If you don't want to be a patron, that's fine. It costs you nothing to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please do. Yeah, it totally helps out. It helps us out. If you like this video, even if you just stick a little emoji in the comments, just all you need is a little smiley. And if you don't like this, if you don't like the show, put an angry face, a poop thing, whatever.
Just
throw
watch
something down in the comments that just tells YouTube that to boost the algorithm, because we'd love to. We'd love to break out of the 5 people that are watching right now.
Yeah, stop watching ourselves over and over.
That's right. You can only do narcissism so much.
Can you though?
With it, we just lost a viewer. No, seriously, that's it for me, guys. Hope you had a good time on this one, talking about the news and, of course, unpacking the latest episode of She-Hulk, which we will be watching. We just won't be talking about it as much. Maybe we'll get a few social media posts out on those,
especially for
as
Easter
time
eggs
rolls on. Hopefully after this 3-episode bolus vomiting at us, we will dial it back down into some sort of regular schedule where we can either go back to just 1 episode a week, or perhaps even go back to doing them live as we had done with the Book of Boba Fett, for those of you who want to tune in for
awesome
2 hours at a time. Hey, you stuck with us now? It's an hour and 34. So I mean, what's 30 more minutes, right?
Yeah.
As always, we love the live interaction. We love interacting with you guys. So please do shoot us all of your questions and comments through all of our channels and our spaces. If you're catching this in the replay, thank you very much for discovering our show and sticking with us. You can also catch all of our shows in an audio format in all the places where you like to consume your podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, guys, that's it for this week. That's it for me.
Should we end on a crazy note?
You got one more?
I got one more for any wrestling fans out there.
Wrestling fans. Oh, wait, but
Nice.
this is wrestling / well,
This
we are in
is-
Canada. We are in Canada.
This is post wrestling.
Will they ship to Canada?
Maybe.
All right.
We neither endorse or de-endorse.
That's true.
this.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
You're free to make your own choice.
But it is entertaining.
It is.
All right, let's put this
it's
up.
something.
All right, take us out.
Woo! Hey, it's the Nature Boy here, as always, styling and profiling. Today, jet flying for sure, but flying higher than that, because today we're launching the biggest brand in cannabis, the brand new Ric Flair Drip. Available in states. I'll be wheeling and dealing. I'm talking about available in Arizona, New Jersey, Illinois, Nevada, LA. Remember, go to RicFlairDrip.com. Ric Flair Drip forever and ever. Woo!
Woo!
When Ric Flair says he's got the drip, I think he needs a doctor.
Oh yeah.
It's medicinal now.
I always wanted to travel to the state of LA.
All right, guys, that's it for me. I hope you had a good time. I know I had a great time. I hope you guys had a good time. We will see you very soon, because before you know it, we'll be back. But until then, everybody, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Bye for now.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Fandom Power. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Stay tuned for our next episode where we'll be talking about another one of your favorite fandoms. Fandom Power is a Sawcast production.